Hey, good morning, Net Church. It is great to be with you guys this morning. I cannot believe this, but we have 2 days left. I mean, technically, after today, we have 1 day left of our online devotion. Then we have 2 more days where we aren't online, but we're still going through the fast. And so, I don't know about you, but this has been an incredible experience. And I'm so excited about what God is doing in and through the Net Church and in my personal life. And I know this is the beginning of something incredible. And so, Pastor Ryan is not with us again today, but he will be back tomorrow, and thrilled to have him back. And I'm sure he'll tell you all about his experience. It's incredible. Pastor Ryan, I just want to say again, we love you. We are grateful for you. We are grateful for the opportunity to be able to do this together. And we can't imagine not doing this. Getting to do life with some of the greatest friends on the planet is truly a dream come true. And I just want to say thank you for the mission of starting the Net and the vision that you had, and excited about the future of where we're heading. So today, I'm very excited to introduce our guest, Desi Colon. I've known Desi for, I think probably since 2003, somewhere in there, 2002. But Desi has a heart of gold and has a genuine heart for people. And I'm so thrilled to hear her share her heart this morning, as she is our Net Cleveland Net Group leader, coordinator, and has done so much to help alleviate work from Beck and I, and done a better job than what Beck and I have done in making sure Net Groups are organized. And she loves spreadsheets, which I love spreadsheets, and I'm very grateful for that, to keep things organized. And so Desi recently moved to Chattanooga, and so she's going to be helping out not only in Cleveland, but also in East Ridge here in the near future. And so excited about that. I'm not salty at all about her moving to Chattanooga and not being in Cleveland. Yes, I am. So today, before we get started in Desi's devotional, MJ, why don't you kick us off into some worship?
Lord, I come, I confess, bowing here, I find my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one that guides my heart. Lord, I need you, oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness, oh God, how I need you. Sin runs deep, your grace is more. The grace is found is where you are. And where you are, Lord, I am free. Holiness is Christ in me. Lord, I need you, oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness, oh God, how I need you. To teach my soul to rise to you. When temptation comes my way, And when I cannot stand, I'll follow you. Jesus, you're my hope and stay. To teach my soul to rise to you. When temptation comes my way, and when I cannot stand, I'll follow you. Jesus, you're my hope and stay. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. You're my one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Again, like Sam said, my name is Desi Cologne, and I am the Net Group Coach for Cleveland right now and working also with Eastridge. And so, obviously, naturally, the thing I'm going to be talking about today is net groups and about how net groups are all about community and all about changing lives. So first of all, I do want to just be brutally honest with you guys. Whenever Sam and Ryan first asked me to do this devotion, my first thought was, no, like I can't do this. I don't want to do it. I can't. I'm just not in the place in my life where I feel like I can, encourage people with how I've been feeling lately. And so one thing about me is that I hate showing weakness. I strive for this level of perfection, if we're getting honest, that really doesn't exist. And at the place where I've been lately, a place just of utter weakness, I truly didn't see myself being able to even do a short devotion. For the longest time, I had the mentality that God wouldn't love me if I messed up. And that for some reason that he only reserved his love and his blessings for me only for when I did good. And that started translating into the relationships I had with friends. But I was fortunate because I was able to be a part of yoga group and also the girls' lunch group and a couple other groups. And all of these groups were a huge part in freeing me from those mindsets that I once had. So whenever, honestly, whenever I first started net groups, I just thought it was going to be a fun time, get to know people, make some relationships. And little did I know how much more God had planned for me. Before I knew it, I was letting all the girls get to know the real me. They were letting me get to know the real them. And it really helped me to see that there was a huge gap in my life where community was needed. I remember there was once, there are so many good stories, but one specific story where I had the worst day. I was just just a miserable day. And I didn't want to go to yoga. I didn't want to put a smile on. I didn't want to namaste and be happy and all of that. And so I forced myself to go. I was like, okay, I'm a captain. I got to go. I'm a coach. So I got there, actually ended up breaking down to Bet Kidwell before we even walked inside. The two of us kind of got it together, both went inside. Little did we, just to find out that everyone was in the exact same place that we were that day. We ended up, after our very short yoga session, just sitting down in a circle, laying hands on each other, praying, weeping, and just being completely honest about all the terrible, brutal things that were going on in our lives. And that experience ignited something in me. It showed me that if these ladies, some of which I really didn't even know that well at all, if they loved me that much and, took that much interest in me, then how much greater was God's love for me. So just with that said, God desires our love. He desires for us to have a relationship with him. We're his people, we're his community. And he created us in his image. Therefore, that's why we desire all those same things too. That's why we need support, why we need love from other people. And one of the verses that comes to mind when I think of net groups, and just is exactly where I am in life too, is 2 Corinthians 12:10. And it says, "For the sake of Christ, then I am content with weakness, with insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong." God's will is made so perfect whenever we trust him and when we love him and whenever we allow him to be a part of every single area of our lives. And I think that directly connects to how he wants us to incorporate other people into our lives to support us and to love us. When I am weak, first I lean on God. And then from there, I also lean on those in my life that he's put there for prayer and for encouragement. Sunday mornings are amazing. I'm thankful for this church that I have. I've never felt more accepted. But, Sunday mornings, it's exciting. There are people there, right, to your left and your right. Great worship music. You're learning that lesson. But then Monday through Saturday is whenever you actually have to go out and live your life and live out that lesson. And that's the hard part about life, because that's when the bills start stacking up. That's when, you're not getting along with your significant other. That's when your kids are being crazy. And groups allow you to meet with people through the week who could remind you what it is that you learned on Sunday and also really remind you where you're going in life. This is just a very personal thing that I do, but whenever I'm going through the hardest points of my life, when I'm having those really difficult days, I put my hand out, whether I'm driving, whether I'm walking, whether I'm sitting, whatever it is. And I just imagine that God's holding it. And I imagine that he's walking with me through life. And that's how I have to get through my days sometimes. And the best part about this is that and about the church and groups is that on Sundays, and also when I go to my net groups, I can physically reach my hand out and hold the hands of those people to the left and the right of me and know that they're going to walk with me through life. So I had so much more to say, but I decided to condense it for the sake of time. But in closing, because I could just go on, but in closing, I was given this question to add in the devotion, but are there any actionable steps that you would like to see people take or offer as an option? So number one, I'm passionate about you knowing that you're not alone. I think that's why I love this position that I'm in, because I'm actively trying to make sure that people know that they're not alone and that there's a group out there for them. Wherever you are in life, first of all, you have God, of course. And then second of all, you have the rest of us. And number two, I really want you to look into which net group, that you might be interested in. Talk to me, talk to someone on leadership, visit our website. They'll be up soon. This is a perfect time to start a net group because our rallies are coming up very soon this next month. And then finally, how can we best pray for this ministry? So, this is a huge one. Number one, I want you to pray for those people that don't know that they need a group yet. I was among those people that thought that I could just go to church on Sunday and do the rest of my life alone and that I would be completely fine. And I quickly found out that that was really not the case. You can do that, but it's so much easier when you have people around you. And so just pray for those people that don't know that yet, that hopefully someone will reach out, that we will reach out, and also that they will maybe hear this, and then decide to join a net group. And then number two, pray for the leaders who've been leading, but also pray for those who are just getting started. Net group leaders are amazing. We love them. We need them and are so grateful for them and just want to make sure that they're covered up with prayer as we start this upcoming semester. So thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate you letting me be here with you this morning and lead this devotional and pass it back to Sam.
Awesome. Thank you, Desi. So I'll open it up to these guys too for any questions or comments that they've had, around net groups. But one of the things too that I just love was the example that you mentioned of being in the yoga group, and it wasn't like you guys all circled up and immediately felt like, okay, who's going to share their stuff? But it just was birthed out of that community of just being able to hang out with one another, get to know one another. And it naturally happened where it was just like, now we're doing life together. It wasn't this forced thing of waiting for people to really open up, but it was more of just this, let's build community. Let's get to know one another. And then naturally out of that comes just the willingness to be able to be open and honest about what's going on. And I love that. And I know one of the things we talk about in net groups is the fact that we can be healed together. And Hebrews 5:16 talks about that. If we just talk about what's going on in our lives and allow others to see what's going on, God can use that. When we open ourselves up to say, I'm weak, as you mentioned, there's strength in that to allow not only God to speak into that, but others as well. And it truly is freeing. I know I've experienced that in my life where, something's going on and, I try and just get through it myself, and it's very difficult. But the moment I share that with Beck or Bobby or whoever, it gets easier because it feels like you say, you're not alone. And I think that's an easy lie to buy into, to think, well, I'm the only one going through this, or I'm the only one facing this, when it's simply not true. Comments, questions for Desi?
So for me recently, some of the darkest days of my life. Tomorrow's my dad's birthday. He would have turned 75. And it was crazy to lose him so quickly. And in the middle of all of it, there was lots of stuff going on, and I was trying to kind of carry the whole burden for the family of making sure that he was honored, because he was such an amazing man, and it was so awesome. It was you guys specifically. It was people from our small group who were literally like, showed up right in the middle of everything, where I'm running back and forth. I'm getting kind of frustrated, trying to make sure that everything gets done so that everybody can hear about my dad's life. I didn't even really, at that point, I'd had a little bit of a chance to mourn, but not really. It was literally just the insanity, and it was crazy. Just the deal where, even in the moment where, at that moment where I wasn't fully even able to acknowledge the weakness, and I'm still kind of figuring out how all that plays out. It was so amazing to see you guys step up in that moment and be like, hey, what is it that you need? And I wouldn't really say anything. So then you went to Hannah and was like, so what does Michael need? And then kind of like shoved me out of the way to be able to actually be there. And there's been so many things like that, but that specifically was one where it literally it would have fallen apart on my own, but I didn't really have any time to even ask for help, because there's just too much to accomplish. And so it was one where I loved seeing everybody come around, and my whole family was blown away. It was one where they were all just kind of in awe of the love that everybody poured out, and that came through just years and years and years of doing life together, spending that time, being able to take off the mask, even when I didn't even have time to take off the mask, and Hannah was like, here's the mask is off, he's falling apart, can somebody please go help him? And it was huge, and it made it to where it was a healing process, not just a mourning one. So yeah, I can't say enough how important, how life-saving, how I can't say enough about net groups. They're amazing. Please get in one, please.
That's right. You man?
Yeah, man. So I love what MJ just said. That even when he wasn't necessarily at a point where he could even take the mask off if he wanted to, Hannah kind of intervened and was like, no, he needs help. I think that oftentimes people, now granted, it wasn't like he met Hannah through a small group or anything like that, but I think that people sometimes assume that it's going to be a lot of shallow relationships. You know what I mean? It's just going to be like, oh, well, these are my group friends. And I don't think people realize that you're probably going to make a best friend out of that group. And when you're in a situation like Michael has been, like we've all been, oftentimes is that best friend that goes, no, guys, he's not doing so hot. Like, you know, I know that he comes here, I know that he sits, I know that he goes home, but, you know, we talk when we're not here, and he's not doing so good. Like, please be praying for him. Let's do something to help him. You know what I mean? And I've heard stories like that over and over. I've seen that myself. Like, I've gained best friends because of small groups. I made the joke that some of my best friends are in their 40s and 50s now, you know, for me going to the men's group in East Ridge. But really those, you know, if you want to talk about people that truly know me, it's about 2 or 3 of those guys in that small group that know me closer than a lot of my friends that are closer to my age. Those are the ones that are not just during that one small group meeting, but even throughout the week, throughout the month. You know, one of them called me yesterday, and we were just talking on my way home from work, and you developed depth of relationships. You will probably have a best friend that is going to be able to pull through for you when you really need it, when you open yourself up to these relationships. So it's not just a once a week thing. You're going to make some friends that are going to change your life. So.
I'm going to jump in very quick. That's awesome, man. I haven't talked in a couple of days. I got to figure it out. Well, one thing I wanted to say was I've just noticed, like, over the years, that when people are struggling, or, you know, you notice like something going on in their life, or just things are kind of falling apart, or there's just like, oh man, what's happening? One of my first questions is always like, are you part of a small group? And the answer is always no. The answer is always no. And it just goes to show, like, they're not having that community that it's like you need it. You know, we need that community as someone to talk to, someone to kind of pour our heart to and help us figure things out. And a lot of times when we're in those emotional states, we'll just be making a bunch of decisions, you know, and we have no sounding board to kind of bounce that off, like, hey, this is kind of what I'm faced with, you know, or just pray for me. You know, you don't even have to ask for like advice specifically, but if you just come to the point where you just can ask for that prayer and put yourself in a state of waiting, you know, then you won't have to make a series of terrible decisions and realize, oh man, look what I've left in, you know, in my wake is just a mess, or, you know, just more heartache, or more stress. And not to just sound like gloomy and doomy, but it's just the truth of what I've seen is like, what's going on with you? All right? Yeah, I don't know. Oh, are you part of a group, man? Or a woman? Nope. Maybe you should do that. You know, my first thing usually is just like, come over my house, like try to create a instant small group for them. It's like, just come over my house, just come hang out with me, my kids, and my wife. And I feel like a lot of times that it just helps, man. It helps to give that person a community, a sense of community. So just encourage people who are part of a small group to invite people to your small group like that. You know, ask someone how they're doing, you know, and if you feel like you can't speak to the situation, at least offer them a place to be and a place to belong, a place to be loved. So.
That's good, man. Bobby's got a small group of like 50. People keep going to his house. So get into a net group. Desi, I would love to know, you know, as people are thinking about either joining a group or leading a group, you know, I think sometimes when you think about leading a group, it's this daunting thought of I've got to come up with a lesson plan or figure out a location even. But I know that you help with a lot of that. So can you kind of talk about what it means to be a group leader and demystify some of the anxiety that people may have in thinking about, I can't lead a net group?
Yeah, well, it's so funny that you say that, because one of our group leaders just texted me and she just said, tell them that leading groups that being a leader is life-changing. That's all she said. She said, just tell them that being a group leader is life-changing. So yeah, definitely. I think people are always really intimidated because they're concerned if people are going to come to the group, if they're going to have a lot of people. They're concerned about, just like you said, if they have to have a lesson plan. So luckily, this is, and I'll give you this example. Sam and Beck, actually, when they first were telling me about the Net Church a few years ago, they said, net groups are about just finding something that you love, incorporating Jesus into that, and then just inviting other people to do it. So like, don't stop what you're doing in your life to start something new. Just, so if you love coffee, have people over to your house for coffee and, do a devotion, a prayer. And then from there, that's a group. So again, it's not that you have to, or you can do a book study. So, and also another option was so for instance, yoga. And I'll say that was one of our group leaders that texted us, or that texted me. We would start off the group with just a few minutes to kind of chat, get to know each other, provide a place for people, again, to start building that relationship on a social level. And then we would just do a quick devotion. And like even if it was reading a verse or a chapter from the Bible, and then doing a prayer, and then from there going straight into yoga. Another example was our girls' lunch. So we had, everyone would just come to the coffee shop, bring their lunch, and then we would just talk about the sermon from the week before. But again, that opened up incredible conversation, and from there it let people be real, and let people start opening up in a safe way in that small space. So being a leader, I promise that, yeah, there are difficulties in the sense because you're leading a group of people, but also that's what the staff is here for. That's what I'm here for. And also that's what your group is there for too, to support you also. So just because you're the leader does not mean that your life isn't going to be transformed either, because it really will be transformed for the better. So yeah, we actually do an orientation. And we go through a lot of different ways about how to make your group relaxed, relevant, refreshing. And also we give you some really good practical tips about making sure that, give you some ways to help your group be successful. So don't be nervous about it. Don't be intimidated.
Awesome. If they want to be a group, if they want to be a group leader, I should say, how soon do they need to let you know?
So they need to let me know pretty soon. By that, I mean very soon, because our first rally is September 10th. And so basically what the rallies are, that's a time whenever we have all the groups leaders set up in the church. We're doing that September 10th and 17th. And that's whenever you actually have the chance to sign up for your group. So if you're interested, even if you're not, 100% sure about the day, time, what your topic is going to be, just if there's some kind of interest that you have to be a group leader, send me a message on Facebook, find me at church, ask Sam for my number, whatever it is, and get connected with me so that way I can start talking to you about the steps. We have this week and, of course, next week to really start solidifying things, but it'd be awesome if you could let me know sometime this week, next week, so that we can make sure that we get your information in.
Let's say by Sunday.
So we'll just say by Sunday. I need it by Sunday.
We've got to be able to print that material and get it ready. So let's say by Sunday, if you want to be a group leader, let Desi know, and we'll get you everything you need to be a group leader. We'll get you the training. And then as Desi mentioned, if you want to be a group leader, if you want to join a group, that opportunity will be available for you on September 10th and or 17th. So looking forward to the brand new semester of Net Groups. Let's pray. Let's see. MJ, you want to close us out in prayer, and then we will call it a day.
All right, let's pray. God, thank you. Thank you so much that you've created us to live in community. You've created us to share life and do life together. And thank you for the amazing, amazing gift of Net Groups, to where we can come together, whether It's just something we're interested around, or a study. It doesn't matter, God. Anything to just bring us together, and give us an excuse to spend time together. It's going to be one of the most rewarding things. It's going to be the time where we grow the most. It's going to be the time where we're healed the most. It's going to be the time where we start really seeing what you're up to in the church. And so, God, I pray if somebody's been on the fence, they've been trying to figure out whether they can or should they make time in their schedule, God, please just help them to see the value of net groups. And God, let there be a whole new crop of leaders that come up, because we can't have enough net groups. We literally can't, because there's so many people that need to be reached. There's so many people that need to be loved on individually. And so, God, I pray for group leaders to be able to come up for this coming semester, because, God, we're believing you're going to bring lots of people in that need to be loved, that need to have that community. And so we pray for those leaders. We pray for the groups this semester, that people would just find that true community, find where they're truly loved and known, where they can take off the mask. And God, that again, in their weakness, you would be made strong. They would find healing. They would find hope. They would become healthy, growing, and full of love. God, we love you, and we look forward with huge expectation to what you've got going. Thank you for this amazing team. Thank you for Desi. God, we cannot thank you enough for all that you're doing. And it's in Jesus' name we ask. Amen.
Amen. Net Church, we love you. We will see you bright and early tomorrow morning at 6:30 for our last day online together. And then obviously we'll join together on Sunday. So have a great day, Net Church. We love you.